Let me tell you what's ridiculous. DL Hughley. Do you know what the DL stands for? Down low. Down low Hughley. I've been saying it for years. Everybody knows it.
He doesn't identify as trans, even though he tries to dress up like a woman. I mean, it's really pathetic, guys.
The cameras were rolling, the lighting was flawless, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like just another carefully controlled Hollywood interview until everything shifted. One statement, delivered with unwavering confidence, cut through the surface and sparked something far bigger than anyone expected. E.J. Johnson stepped forward, speaking openly about identity, attraction, and self-expression. But according to whispers online, it wasn't just the content of his words that captured attention, it was the energy behind them.
Magic Johnson opened up about his gay son in an interview with TMZ. He says that he knew his son was gay before he even came out to him, and here's what his reaction was.
It's interesting when you're his parents, and we finally had to sit down and talk about it, and I told him, look, I'm gonna love you regardless. Just let me know, are you or aren't you? And then finally he just said yes.
To act and pretend like we don't know that these things exist.
Let me tell you what's ridiculous. DL Hughley. Do you know what the DL stands for? Down low. Down low Hughley. I've been saying it for years. Everybody knows it. He thinks everybody knows the truth about the church. The truth is, we ain't know everything about DL. He earned those two letters the hard way.
The sense that there were layers beneath the glitterless surface of success that most people weren't prepared to confront. Almost instantly, what should have been a personal perspective transformed into a full-scale cultural flashpoint. The public was never meant to question these moments this deeply, and yet here we are, watching every frame.
When you first got the information, did you ever say to yourself, it was that nasty bitch from Sacramento who did that?
You think like that, no question about it. But I think
I'm gonna play you guys this first clip where he says, "I look more cute than any girl does."
Like, I never thought I was wrong with anything that I did. Like, even when I was a kid and like they were like, well, you can't wear skirts. And I was like, well, why not? It's like my inner being was like, there's nothing wrong with this, especially if I look cuter than any girl does. Like, what's the problem? Like, what's the issue? And that's exactly how I apply it to myself to these days in the way that I
dissecting every pause, searching for meaning in what might have otherwise passed quietly. When EJ rejected traditional labels, pushing back against expectations, while also clarifying he does not identify as a trans woman, it left audiences in a strange limbo, trying to define something that seemed intentionally undefined.
And delivered. Them type deal.
I've been delivered.
All right. Well, I'm on my knees anyway. So.
Well, Magic Johnson just did an interview talking about his son's sexuality.
Sure.
If you had a son that was extremely feminine like
right.
that, would that be something you think you could deal with?
Listen, I could deal with anything.
Yeah.
I love my children. I love them unconditionally. You can love dudes and not act like a broad, right?
As we say, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let him say whatever he want to say, feel however he want to feel. That dude like 6'10". I don't want no problem. I don't want no problems at all. I'm cool. I am cool. Yeah, I'm good.
Son of a famous celebrity, and you want to go wear dresses and heels and run around New York City, look at the videos up on the screen. If you want to feel self-important and like you're real glamorous, go for it. But why do you always have to tear down real women? Oh, I look better than the girls. I wear this dress better than the girls. I'm sorry. You're 6'2" and you got the shoulders of a freaking linebacker. You're not doing it better than the girls. The delusion is off.
And then came the statement that changed everything. The claim that he looks better than any woman in the room. People are saying it was bold, unapologetic confidence. Others insist something just doesn't add up, that it crossed into territory that felt deliberately provocative. But is it really just a coincidence that this single line triggers such a massive reaction across completely different communities? Social media didn't just respond, it erupted.
Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs and all the instructions. So, and I don't need to know, you know what I mean? So it's like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? And then he said that he's more attractive than most of the women around him. Hey, look, I don't know who around him, and neither do you. You know what I mean? Like, I would only be offended if I was one of the women around him, and I'm not. I'm not a woman, and I damn sure ain't around him. So it
Yeah, who doesn't love magic, right?
It's a really sweet way of, dealing with that issue, like that, that situation, right? Especially when you hear so many stories of parents who have like this hateful reaction to it. They want to disown their kids, and then all of these teen suicides. It feels good to have a public figure.
Now, it's 3 or 4 kinds of black dudes. It's black dudes that have lived their life so foul that they're trying to get their life together.
Right, trying to get into heaven.
It's black dudes that gotta go with their woman because they done fucked up.
Okay.
And it's black dudes who like dudes and are trying to play the love of dick out of their heart.
Okay. I ain't gay no more, guy.
Right.
Critics from all directions began pointing out what they saw as contradictions, questioning whether EJ was navigating identity in a way that blurred lines while still maintaining distance when it suited him. The more you look at it, the less it looks like coincidence. And just as the conversation reached its peak intensity, D.L. Hughley stepped in, but not in the way many expected. Instead of focusing solely on EJ, he zoomed out, pointing toward what he believes is a recurring pattern hidden within the industry's hidden undercurrents.
Magic Johnson, the NBA greatest point guard of all time. Now, he has a son. His son is named EJ Johnson. And EJ is a homosexual. Now, from what I actually understand, guys, he's one of these people now that isn't referring to him.
Watch us play the game.
Perfectly fine with his parents. That's why some people thought I was too tough, right? Because they said, look, it's inside the family, etc. So I hear you on all that. And, Matt Salmon says he's in favor of other gay rights, just not gay marriage, yada, yada. I don't buy that. But this is how.
Why are more celebrity children stepping into these conversations so publicly? Why now? According to whispers online, he suggested that influence, environment, and visibility all play a role, factors that aren't always obvious, but are impossible to ignore once you start connecting the dots.
Someone who had a very successful career, someone who's very well known, really speak out and say, look, my son is gay and you better not fuck with him because he's just like anyone else.
Yeah, and it's a good juxtaposition to Matt Salmon, who's a Republican congressman from Arizona that we discussed earlier in the week. Now, some people thought I gave that guy too hard a time. And, look, inside of
What's his story?
So his son is gay, also named Matt Salmon, and came out to them. And Matt Salmon, the congressman, said, I have not yet evolved to the point where I'm in favor of gay marriage. And
I want to remind you of one thing that D.L. Hughley told me, the power of how you show up and the power of a smile. Check this out. You talked about smile and the importance of presentation. Can you just repeat that again? Why that smile and how you show up?
Remember when Magic Johnson got all his business opportunities. In addition to, he was a great athlete. Yeah, there were a lot of great athletes, but what did he have? Smile. They said he had a smile that would light up a room.
Union. Elon Musk and Jamie Lee Curtis continue to surface in these discussions, not as accusations, but as part of a broader narrative that seems to repeat itself in different forms. Reddit users have been digging into this for years, tracing patterns, comparing timelines, asking the questions that refuse to die. And somewhere in all of this, one thought lingers heavier than the rest.
Magic Johnson's son just said he's only attracted to straight men. Let me help you out, Magic Johnson's son. You're attracted to gay men. They just ain't came out the closet. Any man that sleeps with a man, any man that entertains a man, you are always gay.
Everybody's concerned about their DNA, man. Everybody want to know where they from, their ancestry. I think it's fucked up to live in America when they stole you from your homeland, then sell your ancestry back to you. Like, You know, for $100, I'll show you where we stole you from. Nah, that wouldn't be right. I ain't gonna buy that. That ain't. You ever notice white people are always very excited when they got a.
And gentlemen, you know, lately, Magic Johnson's son, EJ, AJ, whatever, he been making the news. You know, one of the most recent things was he said that he only dates straight men, not attracted to, you know, nobody in the LGBTQ. He only dates straight men. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You know what I mean? There's a little bit of confusion going on, because if they dating you.
Are we witnessing individual expression, or is there something deeper unfolding behind the carefully curated image? Something moving quietly through the shadows behind the spotlight, shaping conversations in ways the public was never meant to fully understand. But just when it seemed like the conversation had reached its peak, a new layer of intrigue began to surface, one that few were openly addressing, yet many couldn't ignore. Behind the carefully curated image of celebrity life, there's always been a quiet tension between personal freedom and public influence. And now people are saying this moment has exposed just how thin that line really is. Imagine this, a world where every statement, every identity shift, every viral clip becomes part of a much larger narrative, one shaped not only by individuals, but by the environment surrounding them. According to whispers online, some believe these moments aren't isolated at all, but connected through threads of visibility, timing, and influence that the public was never meant to question. The more you look at it, the less it looks like coincidence. Why are these conversations gaining momentum now? And why do they seem to circle back to the same high-profile circles again and again? Reddit users have been digging into this for years, pointing out patterns that seem to resurface no matter how quickly they fade from headlines. Something just doesn't add up. Is this simply a reflection of a change in culture, or is there a deeper current moving beneath it all? Something subtle, something unspoken, something lingering in the shadows behind the spotlight. The questions that refuse to die are now louder than ever, echoing through the spaces between interviews, viral clips, and carefully worded responses, leaving everyone watching with the same uneasy thought. What they don't want you to know might be hiding in plain sight. These situations are almost always framed through the lens of support and acceptance, but this time something feels different, like the tone shifted before anyone fully realized it.
Church is one of the gayest places.
It is the gayest place. It is. I think that most, if you look at and my people always get mad at me when I say this.
Here it comes.
If you look at the population of the black church, it's black women, the largest, the children that have to go with them.
Right, get dragged along.
That they gotta go, and black dudes.
Well, clean up on aisle delusion. We have to talk about Magic Johnson's son, daughter, I don't know, child, EJ Johnson. So Magic Johnson has this son who's about 6'2". I believe he lost a lot of weight or had lap band or something. He looks great. He looks thin. But he's caused a stir online for saying that he looks better in women's clothing than actual women. And so he also thinks that he has a better shot at dating straight guys than actual women. And here's my thing. If you're a grown adult and you're rich and you're the...
What they don't want you to know is how quickly a single moment can spiral when confidence starts to blur into comparison, and comparison begins to echo louder than intention. Suddenly, what may have been meant to self-assurance is interpreted as something far more provocative, and once that line is crossed, the reaction becomes impossible to contain. Add in the power of a global platform, and now it's no longer just a personal statement. It transforms into a cultural flashpoint, something the public was never meant to question this intensely. And then there's the timing. Why now? At a moment when conversations around identity are already layered, sensitive, and constantly evolving, even the smallest spark can ignite something much bigger.
Little black, hey, I'm 3% black. You're not gonna report that to Equifax, are you? Want to be black enough to be cool, but not fuck up my credit score.
Right, because he really wears dresses.
Hey, man, I get it. You can love dudes, but you ain't a bride. You're a girl. You're a man.
Right.
So don't. And if you listen, we live in an America that believes that it's more America accepts the reality that a man is trapped in a woman's body than to believe that all black people are inherently criminal. You can like dudes, or you could like people of the same sex. What you need a fucking purse to do that for? You ain't doing that.
And he said, you know, good for Rob Portman that he has, and I love my son. He's one of my favorite people. But I haven't evolved to that point.
I'd be so bummed out if my dad called me one of my favorites.
Yeah, totally. It would be devastating.
And if your mom and dad put out like anti-gay propaganda, like videos and stuff, and had you as a gay kid edit them, that's what they would do. He's a bad guy. You weren't tough enough.
Okay, now that was back in 06.
Something just doesn't add up. Throughout all of this, Magic Johnson has remained largely in the background, a steady presence watching from the edges of the spotlight. He has shown support for EJ in the past, but now the situation has pulled the entire family into a new kind of visibility, one shaped not by celebration, but by scrutiny. Behind the carefully curated image, the atmosphere feels heavier, as if the narrative is shifted beyond anyone's control. According to whispers online, this is no longer just about identity. It's about perception, influence, and the ripple effects that follow when high-profile voices speak in moments like these.
Himself as a he refers to himself in these weird pronouns, you know, the they, them crowd. Yeah. He doesn't identify as trans, even though he tries to dress up like a woman. I mean, it's really pathetic, guys. Really, really pathetic. You know, Dwayne Wade, man, same way with his son. Except D Wade's son is saying, nah.
I get it. I love you anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm not buying you a Fendi bag, nigga. I'm not.
Right.
You're not a girl. You're a man who likes men. I get it.
I mean, you talk about in interviews how your son has Asperger's.
Right.
And I guess he wanted to hire some hookers.
He does hire hookers.
He does hire hookers.
Yes.
And you gave him the money for that.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Was that the son who I just met?
Yes.
Okay.
You saw him. He probably gonna hire a hoe right now.
That's
how Matt Salmon should have reacted. You know, I can't judge everybody's life and everybody's family, but if you ask me what's the better reaction, Magic's reaction is only 1,000,000 times better.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you were in their son's situation, how would you want your dad to react? You'd want him to react like
E.J. Johnson's words may have been the catalyst, and D.L. Hughley's response may have amplified the tension. But the more you look at it, the less it looks like coincidence. This conversation has expanded far beyond two individuals, weaving itself into a much larger dialogue about culture, visibility, and the unseen forces that shape public opinion. The questions that refuse to die continue to linger. Was this confidence misunderstood, or did it step into territory that was bound to create friction? And did Hughley uncover something worth examining, or did he intensify a moment that was already on edge? People are saying both narratives hold truth, but is that really the full picture, or just the version we're being guided to see? As the noise grows louder and the lines become harder to define, one thing becomes clear. The silence between the headlines may be telling an entirely different story, one that's still unfolding behind the scenes. Comment below with what you think is really going on. Leave a like if this gave you chills, and subscribe plus turn on notifications for more hidden Hollywood secrets.